Happy 11/11 Portal Day. It is an incredibly powerful day today. And generally, I want to say that I usually feel very heavy energy at this time because a lot of grief, sadness, and sorrow surfaces. And it sort of rolls across the planet because, of course, we have certain events that are, marked by this particular anniversary and this particular remembrance experience. But this year, given the circumstances, I'm really feeling a different energy roll to it that is much more um, intentional with regard to freedom and peace and what that means to us and what that whole Remembrance Day experience is for. It's to help remember that these people went to war, they fought, and they died in a lot of cases for that freedom and that so we can live in peace. And I think that's really important for us to note. With that being said, the other day, as I always feel this stuff sort of starting a day or two ahead of time, the other day my guides came to me and gave me the proverbial red light to stop doing what we've been doing up until now, and the green light on shifting our focus to where it's necessary to be um, paying attention now. I've come into some knowledge recently that has given me a reason to think it's really important for us to light up this country and to other countries as well, but certainly this country in particular. There's a lot of things unfolding for us in the next few months that are really um, in need of light, in need of light. So a huge shift happened on Sunday with the energy of this planet. And in that shift, there was sort of a passing on of the baton, as it were, in a relay race, perhaps, or the handing over the mission, because now it's in capable hands. There's we all spent a lot of time moving through um, this U.S. election stuff, and regardless of your views, doesn't really matter, because here I want to tell you, something about that. This was a really big thing that I needed to address for people. I'm I've spent the last few months playing devil's advocate. I didn't want to, but I was guided by my team and spirit, that I listen to all the time. I trust and I know that they know my game plan in co-creation with God better than I remember, you know. And so devil's advocate is what I've been playing for the last few months. And I didn't really want to because it's not certainly something I enjoy really doing, triggering and inciting things in people. But if you don't recognize all the different aspects to your experience down here, then you kind of miss out on a lot of really juicy stuff. So, Devil's Advocate is where I have been the last few months. And all that I needed to do in that arena, in that area, I have done. I have helped people kind of see something about me, about myself, see stuff about themselves, see stuff hopefully about other people that they needed to see and be aware of. And all of that is very important for this whole, because it's a game playing out here. These are the characters. We're all part of this. Shakespeare said all the world's a stage. And that's so true, right? Because here we are playing this out. We all have roles to play. We're all either supporting actors and actresses or main characters, you know, um, feature characters that are really portraying what they need to portray here in this time. So, being this devil's advocate position wasn't necessarily um, what I thought I was going to be doing. But you know what? When you live like I do and you listen to guidance and you follow that, trusting it, that even when it takes you into uncharted waters or unfamiliar or uncomfortable territory, that they know what they're doing. And you know that having been able to trust them in the past before, that you certainly can do that now. And I do. I always do. And I have for many, many, many years now. So I'm really grateful because I grow a lot. Even when the situations push me beyond my comfort zone, I grow. And I know that in that experience, I can bring that wisdom of the growth experience to others and help them through theirs. So, I had a list of stuff they gave me that I needed to do. I needed to address certain issues and bring to mind and to the surface some of the things that some people just didn't think were real, didn't think were happening, didn't know were an issue, and didn't actually also realize perhaps that it was a spiritual thing. Everything is spiritual. Everybody talks about how we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. Well, what does that mean exactly? If you really understand what that means that everybody is a spiritual being having a human experience. And that's including all of those people that you don't see that way. You don't. You know what? Trump has a soul. Trump is a soul. Biden is a soul. All of them. Pelosi, the whole crew, the whole character cast, just as we are. We all are. And you cannot live in a spiritual perspective with a spiritual perspective and not recognize that, not apply that to everybody, Like really, that's how it goes. So the list was, exposing darkness, exposing things like Satanism and pedophilia and child trafficking, human trafficking, all of these different things, corruption, collusion, deception, all of that is really important because that's where we are. This is the whole light versus dark, good versus evil. This, by the way, every time I talk about spiritual stuff and every time I talk about what's really happening, my gateway to truth starts being cleared and activated. So I really wanted to acknowledge that with people as well, because if it's happening to you, that's what's going on. You're clearing your gateway to truth. Freedom of expression without fear is a huge thing right now, a huge thing. And this gateway, this throat chakra, that is, a really powerful part of our experience down here. And that's why it's one of the higher chakras up. The heart is where the third dimension and the fifth dimensional consciousness, in my experience, kind of blend. And the heart actually is the gate itself that takes you through and into the higher areas and the higher understandings and the higher consciousness. So, that's why you move into truth, justice, and integrity in your throat chakra, communication of those things. Your third eye takes you into, of course, spiritual sight and understanding, and then your crown chakra just takes you into the absolute gnosis, or the wisdom, the Sophia stuff. So all of that is very important for us to recognize. And I can tell you honestly, as I've been reading for a lot of people lately, because everybody seems to want to know what's going on, as I've been reading for people, I've been also finding that there's a lot of calls that I'm on where I am clearing for the truth. I'm clearing for that. And I'm clearing for myself and I'm clearing for them too. And we make a joke and say, it's kind of just a bonus part of the reading. So just so you know, I have to acknowledge that as well. So forgive me. And anybody who knows me knows it's either a yawn or I'm clearing my throat, but one or the other. That's kind of how spirit works with me. So we addressed the wonderful V, CV, and the V itself, the virus, vaccine. We talked about that stuff, the pandemic. We talked about Agenda 30, Agenda 2021 and Agenda 2030. These are very real, and these are not necessarily conspiracy plots or conspiracy theories. These are real. This is a conspiracy, but it's real, and it's basically, one of those things that's happening, and most of us don't even realize what's going on. We don't know that there's this huge takeover happening and that there's a shift that's going on, and it's really going to affect everybody. So I encourage everybody, please, please, please take some time and go and have a look, research UN Agenda 2021 and the UN Agenda 2030, because they are what the United Nations has a plan for and has in store for all of us. And these are the steps that you can see unfolding as we move into the next few years. We exposed, of course, the freedom rights, things like that, the censorship that was going on. You saw it for the first time ever. Things you posted, even in your own public opinion, your own personal opinion, rather, that is not necessarily anything really, who cares what it is? It's your opinion. People are being censored, and like Facebook is going after you and shutting you down and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's a sign of the times as well. We talked about all of these different points, and how 2 + 2 = 4, and how so many common, things are happening. So many things are happening in front of people's very eyes, and nobody's noticing it. Like some of the most incredibly intelligent and with it people who research things all the time they're not even open to other sides. They're not they don't see it for what it's really, and they're not willing to see what else is there. It's personal opinion, personal perspective. I get that, but it just amazes me because I think, wow, I mean, talk about really having a very narrow and limited perspective about things when there's just so much more that you can see to it. I mean, it's all these different kinds of things playing out. So, check, 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 check all the way down the list. And a couple of days ago, that's when my guides stepped forward and said, okay, red light on that stuff. You've handed it over now. The light has won there. It's just a matter of playing it out and watching what unfolds from that. We need to look here. We need to come home to the home base. We need to come back to our own country, and we need to look at what's going on in our own country. And so there's a lot of stuff unfolding that a lot of people don't really realize, and that's why it's important for us to not necessarily look at all of that stuff. It's good to be aware of it. I'm always teaching us about, I'm always preaching about awareness and how it's really important. You can't have your head in the sand and think your butt's safe when things are happening around you. You just, to leave your butt exposed like that is absolutely vulnerable and not really smart. So I help people with an awareness that there's stuff going on and here's what's going on and this is what you can do to prevent it happening to you or happening in our experience here. So it's showtime. It's showtime. It's time to light it all up. And, we can combat anything and everything with light, right? Light always dispels the darkness, no matter what's coming at you. If you are illuminated in it yourself and in the experience, it's not going to hit you the same, and it certainly isn't going to play out the same way. So we have a lot of things going on. Yeah, light and dark, good and evil, right or wrong. It doesn't really matter. Truth, lies, fear, love. These are all dualities that we need to be grateful for because they help us recognize what we do want based on some of the things that we don't. We need to always be aware of that. So I've got all kinds of notes here, and they had me writing so quickly I can hardly read what I've got written down here. So I want to make sure that I touch on some of this stuff. Your light. What does that mean? What is your light? Everybody has a light in them. Everybody. That's how we live. That's our animation. Light is how we actually exist. We're all varying degrees of frequency, which emits a specific light pattern. And so that's really important for us because as we pull back from this human experience of everything that's going on, I'm not going to get into the details, but we pull back to a grander, broader perspective. We recognize what's happening here. We have a planet that started out, with an intention to expand, evolve, and move into a higher frequency of light. And if you can think about it as being a 40-watt bulb when it begins and working to create enough light inside it that it becomes a 60-watt bulb, and then maybe a 75-watt bulb, and then ultimately, of course, the 100-watt bulb, but then moving into LED, I mean, and that's really probably the best analogy I can give it. So every time the consciousness shifts and grows, we get a little bit more amperage going on, a little bit more wattage happening. Now, I need to tell you, the last time, as far as I can tell, from my own experience, what I've understood from my guides, the last time the planet has been in this kind of darkness, okay, has been, really dimmed down this much was about 2,000 years ago. And if you know your history, you'll know what I'm talking about, that there was a particular event that took place 2,000 years ago at a time when the planet was at its darkest time. It was at its dimmest light, and we really needed to light it up. We had an opportunity to do that back then. And unfortunately, there were forces and interference that came in to kind of prevent that from really taking hold the way we wanted it to. So this is kind of our third kick at the can. We've had a couple of times even before the 2,000 years, so I'm not even going to say it's the third kick. But we'll tell you, my guides and I will say that this is the time that actually makes the shift. This is the time. So it's really important to stay focused on what's happening. Don't fall into the drama. Don't engage. I mean, I've been engaging myself over, certain posts and certain comments and things like that. And Because you know what? That's part of being human, to express your truth, to say what you want to say, and to bring to the table a different perspective. The challenge was with specific people anyway. They were having a hard time with my opinion and my experience and my impressions and my insight. And what happens was it causes a division, right? Because then they don't agree with you, and they cannot in any way, in any certain terms, find themselves in a place where they can not agree with you about something so strongly and still be okay with you in other areas. So they had to break. And that's okay, because that's their journey and that's my journey. And I don't really want anybody to be connected to me that isn't vibing like me. It's not, you know, jiving with my vibe, as I've been saying in my posts. So I want to say this huge light shift has created an enormous amount of increase in the light here. And while we know that south of the border everything is working out and everything's going to be just fine, we need to also get back again, as I said, to what we are here to do, and that is to light it up in all areas of the world, not just down there. So, although America is actually a integral part to the whole plan. All the other coexisting countries around, like Iran and Iraq and China, um, all of them. Russia is a huge one as well. These are in the UK even. These in Australia as well. But all of these specific places are integral in the divine plan that's playing out right now. Absolutely integral. And while they've been here a lot longer than the States was kind of like the second kick at the can, we'll say. So when that kind of unfolded and that became a part of the whole experience, the States kind of took on as the new star child the whole concept of, okay, we're going to do this. We're gonna make this the stage, for this ultimate battle, Armageddon or whatever the heck you want to call it. Doesn't really matter anyway. I challenge everybody. I dare you. I invite you. Whatever, however you want to take it. I don't really care. Doesn't really matter. People are getting so about everything, and let's just face it. You know what? We need to lighten it up. So don't take everything so personal. Don't take everything so serious. Yes, it's important and it is serious work, but not enough that we have to become that which we don't want. Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. So deal with the crap around you and don't let it make you, change or shift or do anything. So my guides are always telling me that, that wonderful spiritual philosophy of be in the world, but not of it. Be in the world, but not of it. Merlin says, wear it loosely upon your shoulders like a cloak. Get in there, have fun, have a swim, like I did. Have fun, do what you do, right? Engage, poke fun even. You're not malicious in your intent, so I don't understand what we put so much pressure on ourselves about. You're not hurting necessarily intentionally. Anybody who takes offense to it takes offense because they want to. They don't have any choice on, and maybe they don't recognize their triggers with it. Who knows? I don't really know either. Truth, justice, and liberty. It's the theme for today. It's the theme for all of life. Again, like I said, Trump and Biden, all of the game players, we're all light workers. We're all light warriors. Some have more light than others. Some are, working for the shadow to help us see things. That doesn't mean and even if they are evil, as we would say that, I encourage you to write the word live down and then write it down backwards, because that's the duality we're getting here. You know where I'm going with that? You can thank them all. They're playing one hell of a game. Like, oh my God. Oh my God. You know what kind of an energy these people end up feeling from the rest of us when we partake and watch their stuff, and then we engage with our with our opinions and all of that stuff? Do you know what kind of energy we shoot towards them? These people are strong individuals. These are not novice souls here to do this job, regardless of how you feel about them. You gotta love them all, even the dark ones, because they're here doing something to help you with the light. We are all light workers, period. Either for it, in support of it, or to demonstrate the contrast of it. You know, I gotta love everybody. You gotta love them all unconditionally. You gotta love them all. You can make fun of them and joke around and say whatever. People bash Trump, people bash Biden all the time. Again, these are strong souls. These the energy that they got coming at them, they are equipped for this job. They are fully prepared for this experience. The idea, of course, is that we recognize that. We thank them for their participation, for the roles they're playing. I posted something the other day because I could not for the life of me figure out what is it about this election that's just reminding me so much of, something from my childhood, something familiar, some cartoon thing that I remember. And then it hit me. It was the Hanna-Barbera, the wacky races, and it was so funny because they are. You're either Scooby and his clan, or you're the dastardly rotten people or whatever they were called. Remember those really the Grizzlies or whatever they were, whoever they were. Or you're, maybe you're that the Captain Caveman crew. I mean, granted, maybe I'm probably dating myself here a little bit from the 70s cartoons, but still, that's my point. It is all just a show, all of it. And while we have to be aware of what's going on, we have to also recognize that there are serious plots to, or serious parts to the plot that we need to be not so fun and games about, but definitely aware of. And if you can keep yourself in a lighter space and see it that way, and know that it's not meant to be, the be all end all, we'll say, then we can keep our perspective in the highest. And then we don't get so upset about things. And that's what I tried to explain in a couple of my posts, I just want people to really realize what's going on. It would be a disservice to you if I didn't tell you, but I'm not going to keep going on about it. And I'm not one of those people who's going to say, I told you so, or that I didn't warn you. Don't say I didn't warn you. I've done what I needed to do. And my guide said, I don't have to go there anymore. And that's good because I totally, totally did a lot of that stuff. So the bigger picture says, as above, so below, there's a lot going on up there. There's a lot going on down here. We are all one. If you understand what oneness is and and in the concept of oneness, you'll know that everybody is a piece of everybody else. We're all part of the same fragmented energy. You know what I mean? And so therefore, what you see in someone that you don't like is in you too, just so you know, because if it wasn't, you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't. So you have issue, you take issue with it. You take issue so that you can do something about it. It's triggered you. It's offered you an opportunity to grow, to work on yourself, to do something. And then, of course, to find forgiveness. So I want to talk about that too. Two things we need to really, really be working with right now is the Ho'oponopono practice. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And another gem that I use all the time and I work with people on, and that's called the Court of Atonement. Please go look it up, courtofatonement.com. It's a $5, US dollars, mind you, but it's $5 for this little booklet. This stuff, as I say, and I laughingly say it, and I've said it to the lady who channeled it, this is like my Frank's Red Hot, because I use it on everything. So please, let's work some of this stuff. We are here to do this. And the other one, of course, is the violet flame of transmutation. See the violet flame. See it going everywhere. See it going everywhere. Where else do I want to go here? True mastery of balance. The light is one. What's true for you? Be the light, right? What's true for you? What's true for you? Merlin always does the wordsmith stuff, and he's always making anagrams of words. True for him says the total resonation underlying energy rather. The total resonating underlying energy. That's what he says, excuse me. And of course, the truth word comes down to the total resonation under temporary human. Under the temporary human. What is underneath that? What's at your core? Let's look at those. So yeah, again, there's so much happening and we can get caught up in all of it if we're not careful. The idea is, of course, to stay focused. As I just keep telling people, regardless, if stuff comes at you and you don't like it, vibrate higher. Vibrate differently. It doesn't matter whether you go higher or different, as long as you're not in the same frequency that's drawing that experience to you. We are energetic beings. We put out a signal, it's responded to. Your beliefs are everything. It's not what you're thinking, it's how you feel about what you're thinking. Yeah. Momentum is necessary. That's what I keep saying to people, please. Momentum is necessary right now. And I really, really, really just want everybody to picture certain specific countries anyway, like our country here, Canada, and of course Australia, who also needs light. I mean, yeah, let's just bathe the whole world, right? Like really, let's just bathe the whole world in a beautiful purple, violet light, um, blue light, green light. You know, Mother Mary has been really, really, really talking with people, spending a lot of time with people. And I always tell people in readings when I see her in their field that, you want peace, ask her to help you find it. I got to tell you, I have never found a more effective agent of peace and peaceful feelings within, so immediately effective as Mother Mary. Honest to goodness. And I know that that's an aspect of a much bigger, um, brighter version of, light than just Mother Mary, because she is an archangel, right? Like, that. She is the archangel that is the archaea, the female energy, to the archangel Raphael, the healer. And her color is turquoise. I'm telling people all the time. Her color is turquoise, and she works with the throat chakra. It's technically the sky blue that you see her often depicted in, these beautiful robes of sky blue color. But she works a lot through the heart chakra and the truth chakra, your throat chakra, to provide you with all of, the components of both of those things. So, just felt her coming in here. Anyway, yeah. So I've got a couple new things I wanted to talk about as well. Yeah. The next few months are going to be really interesting. We have a couple of eclipses coming in December. We're preparing for that right now. Now, if you've heard me talk about eclipses before, these are energetic resets of our consciousness. There's always two. They travel in pairs, male and female, because we have two sides to our consciousness. We have two components to us. The duality, again, as I said, is really, really important for us to recognize here. So that being said, these eclipses that we're preparing for are going to reset us, and we need to keep the light shining bright within us and within our areas and our environments and our world, so that when those shifts occur, we can elevate from them. Okay, we need to elevate from them. And this is what ascension is really about. This is what ascension is helping us with. This is what ascension is for, right? As each of us do that, work within ourselves, light ourselves up even brighter, that helps to transcend that heaviness, the darkness, and whatever else is there. So, I don't know if I've made any sense. I'm hoping. I have really needed to get this stuff out for people. Remember, everybody here is a light worker. Everybody. And that alone is what we need to keep in mind. Spiritually thinking is about recognizing that we are all here on a journey, on a mission, with a greater purpose and a plan involved at the base of it all. And, the other thing I would really encourage people, again, as I said, encourage you, invite you, challenge you, whatever. Love everybody. Go watch The Fall of the Cabal. Go watch The Fall of the Cabal. I have all of it. If you need it, you just connect with me. I'll send it off your way. It's a BitChute video. It was on YouTube, but of course, the truth shall set you free, and there we're gone. Just like that. The Fall of the Cabal is what is happening here, right? Historically, that's what's taking place. She nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Spiritually, it's a different experience. Of course, it's a different kind of layer to it all. So if you take what you know about light work and all of that other stuff that we're talking about, moving from the third to the fifth dimension and all of that stuff, of frequencies, that stuff, and you apply it to how it's actually playing out in the third dimensional experience with people, players, characters, historical events, all kinds of things like that. It's pretty amazing. And you just, your mind gets blown and you realize, oh my God, now you see it here, you see it here, you see it here, and then you think, wow, this is a really amazing experience. This is really phenomenal, really. And the divine plan, absolutely extraordinary. That being said, the 1111 portal is open till the 29th, I believe. A lot of energy flowing. A lot of people are feeling it. There's a lot of trouble sleeping and a lot of issues coming to the surface for people. It's a wonderfully powerful time. So if you keep your focus in the right direction, you can actually manifest a bunch of stuff. Really good stuff too, by the way. I got a couple of new decks. I'm going to pull a couple of cards before we go, just because I can. One of them is the Dragon's Wisdom, which is kind of new for me anyway. Huasan. Huasan is the answer here. Huasan is the dragon. I'm going to look up the answer real quick here, because, of course, we don't have a lot of time left. Huasan 67. The Dragon King, Huasan, the brown tree dragon, the oldest and largest. No human may ride him. You ever been on a dragon? They're so cool. Instead, you kneel before this one. Absolutely. You know, we're going to ask that you light one candle. Here we go. This is it. One candle, one white candle. Call your personal dragons in. And allow yourself to go for a ride. It's really quite extraordinary. I use that word because it's my new replacement for crazy. Go explore the dragon realm because they're really active right now. The dragon realm is, and the dragons actually are the fourth dimensional and higher vibrational creatures that are working really diligently with our ascension energies. So they are the ones that kind of go along and they transmute that stuff for us in the chaos space, which, let's face it, aren't we just kind of living in it? Yeah, so the Dragon Wisdom is about checking out the dragons and connecting with them and going off to have some fun, but also to really, anyway, power up, light it up. The next deck I'm going to talk about, and that Dragon Wisdom, by the way, was Christine Arana Fader, F-A-D-E-R, Fader, maybe. The other deck is Secret Language of Light. Oh, just got this one. Just beautiful, beautiful deck. I haven't been playing with cards for a while. And I pulled out a whole bunch of decks the other day, and I was gifted a beautiful deck. So it kind of prompted me to start playing again. But I think it's really important that I share these with you all today. So this deck, Secret Language of Light,